My liege? My liege, I know you are awake. You never leave your fireplace unattended. Please, sir, there's something I have to discuss with you, and I'm afraid it can't wait until morning. Good evening. May I enter? Thank you. Forgive me for not seeing you earlier, my liege. I know I am assigned as your royal guard, but on this occasion your father needed my help. I trust my replacement was adequate, at least. Oh. Dimitri was in charge of you? He's a good man, though I'd wish he'd stop finding an excuse to turn every situation into a joke. I wasn't with you today because, unfortunately we had a visitor on short notice. A diplomat from the Kingdom of Listaria, and a rather, shouty man at that. He and your father had only just finished negotiations a few minutes ago, and his stomps out towards the palace gate seemed to indicate a foul temper, which could only mean one thing. Yes, my liege. Unless some kind of breakthrough in our communications can be found, a war between our two kingdoms is inevitable. But that is a problem that will have to be dealt with tomorrow. Wait. My liege, why are you hiding your arm? What happened? It's sore? From how much you've been writing. Unsurprising. Sit down on your bed for me. I'll examine it. Now, have your back pointing towards the fire. I need to see it clearly. Your wrist is functionable, though clearly strained. Does it hurt if I touch it like this? It does. Then, what about your index finger and your thumb? Stiff, you say? You must have been hard at work then. May I examine your face? I just need to be sure. Your skin looks to be in good colour. No paleness from what I can see. As for your eyes, I can see lumps just near your cheeks. How much did you sleep last night? 2 hours? Then did you at least have breakfast? Good. And lunch? And dinner? Very well. I'll take your word. If I'm allowed to ask, my liege, what exactly were you working on in here? Writing messages to the Listarian representatives to stall the plans of their king. How many do you have in mind? 30? And how many have you written? 22? That seems like a good amount to me. Well, I can conclude one thing, my liege. You were tired. Not just because of your arm, but due to your face as well. Have you left this room all day? Don't avoid the question. Answer me. As I suspected. No wonder you look so fatigued. My liege, you do realize what time it is, correct? The only reason why I'm here is because I saw your light from the castle grounds. You're out of energy, and right now the best strategy for you would be to regain it. As much as your work may say otherwise, there is nothing to gain from writing more letters if you collapse at your desk. And I believe I can help you with it. How, do you ask? Well, lie back on the bed for me. I'll attend to your fireplace as well. Just listen to me. Lie down on your right side facing me. Good. Before I continue, do you trust me? I'd rather not say what I'm about to do, for surprise's sake. But believe me when I say you will enjoy it. However, you are also well within your rights to refuse me before or during my intended actions. Very well. Now, lie back under your duvet. Then allow me to just lift part of your bed sheets up and climb into the bed with you. Yes, my liege. I'm suggesting that I sleep with you tonight. There's nothing wrong with wanting me to look after you. Though I am by no means a maid or a butler, I'd like to think that I'm in charge of all aspects of your well-being, beyond just physical. Not just that, but someone needs to make sure you don't sneak back to your desk when I'm not looking. You have a pension for working yourself till the job is finished, after all. Indeed. Which is why my arms are slowly reaching towards your back and pulling you near to my chest. You needn't be so bashful, my liege. I actually wanted to hug you for a while now. Consider this as good a time as any to do so, provided that my chest plate running near your forehead isn't making you cold. I am relieved. Though I wonder if there's something else I can do to ease you into your sleep. Would it be okay if I brush your hair? Very well. Slowly, let me just... Oh, my liege, I'm so sorry. Please, don't be startled. The spikes on my gauntlets must have dug into your neck. Though they are good at stopping blades, I doubt they're tender when I need them to be. You don't mind trying again? Are you sure? If you are, I suppose I'll just need to use the back of my hand instead. All right, let me do that. Is this satisfactory, my liege? I'm relieved. Relieved to hear it, that is. Wait, what? Why would I hate you? No. You're not a burden on me. You never have been. But there is something that I've wanted to talk to you about, that you've reminded me. It's to do with your work. If I may be so bold to say, my liege, I fear that you've been too focused with your patterns recently. I know that this war concerns you, but you are not the only one involved in it. And I know from experience that exhaustion in times of crisis is dangerous. Yes, my liege. I'm referring to my times in the army, before I was your guard. Have I talked about them previously? Yeah, I figured as much. As much as they gave me the chance to become the woman that you see now, they were also some of the saddest years of my life. I don't want to upset you by talking about them, but I can make an exception if you'd like. Thank you. Before I was your guard, I was a regular knight in your father's army, no different or special to the rest of my brethren. My commander, a man named Gerard, said as much during our first day of training. As part of his opening speech, he said that from that moment on, until our last breath, our lives would belong to the royal family, that we were being trained to follow the will of whichever man, woman, or child carries your last name, and that we should prepare ourselves to sacrifice ourselves if it meant one of you survived. No, my liege, I had no issue with that. When you're a woman like me, a woman who, growing up, never went to school, never played with other kids, and never slept well because of the duties on my parents' farm, hearing that your life matters can change everything. The moment I volunteered for the army and heard that, it felt like I had renewed my sense of life. I had purpose. Not just me, but from my brothers and sisters in arms, all to fight and protect the rule your family has had over our kingdom. But even so, the training was brutal. Rations were always just enough for us to make it through the afternoon to evening. We were trained to use every type of sword, shield, and bow imaginable from the armory. And, above all else, we were schooled to fight in any kind of environment, from waist-high mud to complete and lightless night. Our work, however, couldn't prepare us for the day Lestaria first invaded our home. The first attack caught us completely by surprise. An ambush that occurred from surrounding us on all sides of a steep valley. And in less than an hour, Nathaniel, Maria, Geralt, and so many other faces I'd memorized for months were struck in a hailstorm of arrows and a tidal wave of blades. The night after the attack, I couldn't sleep. I was devastated, knowing that the laughter of my friends, my family, would no longer be heard around the campfires at dusk. I blamed myself for it. No, my liege, I'm fine. I just need a minute. Regardless of the circumstances, I decided to practice late into the evening. I would sneak out from our tent and dedicate myself to using the nearby foliage as my canvas and the tools as my brush. Every strike and blow landed on those bushes mirrored what I wanted to do with my enemy, knowing what they took from me. I kept that routine for about 3 days until my commander noticed me at night and started to yell at me. He mistook me for a spy because of how dark it was. When I told him of my intent, he disagreed with me, naturally. But he told me something. He said that a warrior's strength can only be as good as their body. That sacrificing one of them for the other isn't just inefficient, but dangerous for long-term success. And that, if I wanted to be a better leader, I needed to take more care of myself. As part of this lecture, he requested that I go back to sleep immediately, and then suggested that I make conversation with the newer members at dawn. Reinforcements that your father had sent the night before. I listened, begrudgingly, and by the following week, when the Lostarians made a second push, we held firm, shoving them back across the mountain range that they emerged from. It wasn't long until we chased them right back to their nation's capital. I remember our commander being so impressed that once we returned home, he brought us all a tankard of mead out of his own purse. And all of a sudden, the laughter that was taken from my life returned. I wanted to tell you this, my liege, because quite simply I see a lot of myself in you when I was your age. Young, determined, wanting to do whatever I could for the sake of those I care about. But now I know that progress and learning is in a continuous slope. Times may force us when we need to be brave or aggressive, but if we are not careful, they might overpower us by sheer strength alone. So what do? We remain patient. We remind ourselves that we're human. And more importantly, we do the things that we enjoy, while also working on the things that matter. Do you remember that garden you liked? The one you planted daffodils for last spring? Have you considered taking that up again? True, true. War may not care about your flowers, but there's a reason why I'm encouraging you to go back to your old hobby. Battles, as small as duels, to large as invasions, are rarely kind to anyone. And it's all the more important why you should take the time and enjoy what you can control, and worry less about the things you cannot. No, I'm not suggesting you don't worry about what might happen. But from my perspective, more than anything, you deserve to know that right now, in this room, there is at least one other person who cares about you and your well-being. I am your shield for a reason, my liege. If you need me as a crutch or an ear or whatever you need for a situation that's overwhelming you, I will help, however I can. You need only ask. Why do I say that? Well, my liege, I may have an idea of what else might have been on your mind. A certain woman you've been trying to please? One that bears a striking resemblance to me? Don't play coy with me, young man. I've seen you looking at me when I brush my hair, or the way you squeeze my hand when we're walking in the market square. You're not as subtle as you think. I'm not making fun of you, my liege. Of course I love you. Any woman would be honoured to spend as much time with a charming, hard-working individual like yourself. And I'm just delighted that you chose me of all people to do that. You want to bring up something important? Well, I'm sure you do, but I think it's best we save it for tomorrow. Tonight, rest. Consider what I said earlier, and I'll be here, hugging you close to me if you need anything. Just close your eyes. Allow yourself to drift away. Good night, my liege. You may not be the leader of this kingdom just yet, but you will always be the ruler of mine.